Hello and welcome to myfinanceteacher.org. Here we're going to have a very brief update on what's happening to precious metals, what's happening to gold, and perhaps what's happening to gold miners. And we're going to start with the US dollar. It looks like the US dollar has already bottomed for its short-term daily cycle lasting between early September and late October. Looks like over here on the 28th of October, the US dollar has given us the end of that previous short-term daily cycle. Looks like we are going to see dollar rallying for a while, perhaps a couple of weeks at least, meaning that there'll probably be some pressure for gold going forward over the next couple of weeks. And that also matches with the gold cycles. The short-term daily cycle on gold is right now 34 days old. Usually these cycles last for a couple of months, so perhaps we don't have much time left within this cycle. So I don't expect any significant moves higher, meaning that I want to bring this black line somewhat lower. With the cycle being already pretty late at 34 days, it's not very likely that the ongoing short-term daily cycle is going to break significantly above that resistance zone of somewhere around 1840. Even if gold continues to push higher over the next several days, which might not be the case with dollar strengthening, by the time it reaches 1840 or so, the short-term daily cycle will already be perhaps 1.5 months old, meaning that it will be time for gold to come down into the short-term daily cycle low, into the end of the cycle, which do usually last for a couple of months. So perhaps the end of the cycle sometime in late November, before the next cycle rally can start. And talking about that next rally, by then it will be kind of questionable whether gold will be able to reach that next resistance zone somewhere around 1880, as I've shown with these black lines from a few of my previous videos. And that perhaps will be questionable because by then the ongoing intermediate cycle in gold, which by then perhaps will be going on for nearly 4 months, will be pretty long. Usually these cycles last for about half a year. So it will be perhaps time for that intermediate cycle to start declining into the end of the cycle, into the intermediate cycle low, making this scenario of gold retesting 1900 anytime soon kind of questionable. So what I want to do here is adjust my expectations for the ongoing intermediate cycle in gold, just like the previous intermediate cycle. Perhaps the ongoing one is also going to be somewhat of a nothing meh cycle, as I mentioned about the previous one. And that's my preferred scenario, perhaps only around 55% chance for this scenario. That's if tomorrow FOMC doesn't bring us any serious news about serious tapering, allowing gold price to continue a little bit higher towards that resistance zone of 1840. Alternatively, if Fed is really planning something certain about the tapering, then gold might actually come down into this short-term daily cycle low before retesting that resistance at 1840. But as I don't really expect the Fed to be quite serious about tapering anytime soon, perhaps this scenario is not extremely likely with, well, let's say 40 to 45% chance. So with that in mind, let's have a look at gold miners, GDX over here. Again, if we don't expect any serious news about tapering, then perhaps GDX is going to give us this sort of an inverse head and shoulders formation over the next few days. That will bring GDX closer to this resistance zone from the 200-day moving average, and by then gold will likely drop into the end of its short-term daily cycle, bringing GDX down as well as it cools down after retesting that resistance zone. And perhaps the next short-term daily cycle rally in gold brings GDX above that resistance zone of 200-day moving average, perhaps for a short while, because by then the intermediate cycle is going to be pretty long and it will likely be time for that intermediate cycle to come down into its cycle low. Again, this scenario I would give it 55% chance, as I don't really expect any hawkish news or even any news of certain tapering coming anytime soon.